Hey everybody, Brian here, once again from quantlabs.net. Just want to talk about this article that I discovered on Bloomberg. The only real resource that I trust anywhere is Bloomberg. It's credible and it's well read, and a lot of professionals are on the TV app and or the network and the radio and whatnot. So this one really caught my eye as usual. Want a hedge fund? Know a wavelet to improve your odds. Now, what is a wavelet? Let's just take a gander at the actual article. The answer right here is wavelet transform derived from fields like mathematics and signal processing is an algorithm tool used in data mining to make it more efficient and accurate. Okay, so that's what a wavelet is. So where does that lead us? That is basically a fancy way of saying you better have strong math behind you before you even apply for the job. You will be, when they call you into the interview and you don't know your stuff, you're going to walk away looking like a 2-year-old being laughed at. And some companies will do that on purpose to get a rise out of it. I've been in those situations many times before. So here's some other little things: partial differential equations, and as I said, wavelets. This is what the hedge funds are looking for. Rely on people to make bets. Are hiring quants. I would put 100 million stars behind that, or asterisks, in terms to bold that point. Quants, in search of answers to lackluster returns. And again, we know about Renaissance technologies. We've talked about 2 sigma as well, using complex mathematical models. This expectation of how trading going forward is going to become more and more of an expectation of delivering returns. Now, if you're the kind of person that is going to play victim, play lazy, be really just like plain old dumb in not understanding the complexities of mathematical models, on top of needing to really understand not just some R or Python little dinky models and thinking you can then implement those into your trading system for execution, think again, because you will definitely need to understand the efficiencies and all those components that come as part of that package in trading systems. So you definitely need to understand the full enchilada when it comes to trading. It's not about learning cloud solutions like let's say Quantopian or QuantStart. I have literally thousands upon thousands of people now joining my Facebook group. We're up to about 30 to 50 new people a day learning this stuff, and that is just the start. That is just the start to get you started. The expectation when you move into the more advanced firms, or looking at companies like Rentec or Sigma, you better have your shite together when it comes to the math side of things. And we're talking very complicated. I'll admit I'm nowhere close to needing to know the math expectations. So again, let's dissect this article. I haven't seen demand for quants from hedge funds like this before. Any hedge fund you can name is looking. I have put out there UBS, and then Credit Suisse, one of the Swiss banks, is also leading a big charge in those new hires. Same with Goldman Sachs. So it is becoming very, very prolific. And again, if you're learning and paying quite literally thousands of dollars to boneheaded, egomaniac, frat boy, trading so-called gurus that don't understand the logic of trading, you are completely wasting your money. Honestly, you are, because this is a new world, a brave new world is upon us, where, again, as the article says, that there's very few lower returns. We can no longer rely on things like arbitrage, momentum, and so on, because the markets are going to get into tighter ranges over the long run, which will make it more difficult to get returns. So, again, these are skills that you will definitely need to know. So again, let's continue along. This fund here, 19 billion. To add an expert in big data analyst, $11 billion. Tudor want to hire quant traders and research as a part of a revamp. People with knowledge of the firm said. Now, here you got some job openings. Maybe we should take a look at that in a minute. But again, a good example of Tudor, which is probably the most conservative hedge fund out there that has been just slaughtered in their crappy returns. What happens in outflows in huge proportions. I'd show you some Instagram charts that I put up showing that, I think, the last week. So even Tudor are recognizing that this is now a new expectation that their investors are looking at, and if they have really crap performance, they're not going to be able to grow and stay competitive in the highly competitive world of investment banks on top of hedge funds. So this is now a new standard that people are going to look for in terms of skill sets. But let's continue along. Now here is where it gets very interesting. They're looking for scientists, mathematicians, and programmers don't come cheap. Now, again, they are at PhD level. This is to apply for those companies that we just mentioned above. If you don't have any of the education specializing coming from Ivy League schools, PhDs, expectation, you're going to get slaughtered. You're just, again, going to get laughed at in interviews, even though if they'll even accept your resume. So the salaries have really dropped. These salaries used to pay, starting at, or even experienced people, 300 grand base, and then throw in the bonuses if that could easily double, triple the total comp over time. And now it's really dropped, and that probably is just so many candidates coming out of Asia, Russia, South America that I've seen, even Europe. And of course the U.S., where the schools have become more competitive, pumping out these candidates in these programs, being, let's say, physics, comp sci, and mathematics, where it's all going to at some point going to get merged as one, and specializing in these quantitative fields will eventually happen. If not, it's already happening. I know Rotman in Toronto is doing that, but again, because it's so competitive, those pay scales and the base pay scale is dropping. It's dropping a lot. So again, 130,000, 5 years is up to 200,000. Back in the day, it used to be a lot more than that. And again, this is just base pay. So it is dropping because the demand is growing, but I think the supply is outgrowing the demand of recent graduates. And again, I can see that just alone in my Facebook group, and a lot of these people that are joining, quite a few have PhDs, but there are another batch, a large batch, that are more curious people, probably coming out of the world of Quantopia and QuantStart, and realizing that those solutions are hitting walls, and they come to my group to understand the next steps to go beyond the limitations of what that software delivers. While main managers at Tudor make investment calls with the help of quants at systematic firms is fully controlled by computer models. Handful of firms have hired quants to mine data for investment patterns and develop machine learning tools. And again, here's the thing, machine learning tools, and again, it's a nascent artificial intelligence, which hasn't really been proven, but I'm pretty dead sure it's either they're just not talking about it publicly, or eventually it will get there. Okay, so I guess the right fit, data needs fundamental analysis. That's what we do right now currently, but eventually I do know there is an urgent need for the quant and the lower level C++ and Python software development. Here's a highlight. A lot of wealth will be built by those who are able to synthesize large amounts of information more quickly and efficiently. Yeah, I totally agree with that. I would underline that 100 million times once again, because that's what we're doing. If you see my YouTube channel, you'll see the amount of data sources that we are using. I could probably think of 150 assets that we can watch in parallel. We've got the capabilities to do it in parallel, high speed, and again, be able to drop it down to C++ levels, and as well as not let the operating system also hinder us, like being, as we've talked about many times, of Windows as well, or if you decide to choose Windows. You have to drop down into the lower level of the operating system, like not Linux but more BSD. And you got to know all aspects of this as a I'll say one man show, but a one person show. Wish more and more women were involved, but you know, it's getting there. So hedge funds may not necessarily be the right fit for some quants because they're so advanced. I keep forgetting to turn this off. Okay. Partner recruitment firm, job search for quants double since the start of the year. So if you've got the credentials, you could do really well, but the jobs don't really pay well in my mind. I've seen pay compensation in the not millions, but roughly around in the millions. In Silicon Valley, you can have a cool factor, but hedge funds need to change their culture to catch up. I don't know what that means. London has said he has 15 quant job searches for hedge fund clients. He had none a year ago. So this is now proliferating throughout the whole industry. That's because hedge fund managers already make their money without the need of advanced technologies. And again, we've talked about this. So let's talk about the other links. They said they had some job openings here. So let's check out those. This is a recruiting firm. Let's see what they got. Application delivery engineer, compliance officer, quant developer. Let's check out this one as well. That's internship. Core systems developer would be an interesting one to take a look at. And again, these are random skills that I'm looking at. Quant developer engineer. We'll just take a look at what some of the skills are that you need. And I bet you $100 million it'd be just C++ and Python, maybe the odd research coordinator. Wow, there's a lot of jobs here. I'll just do a quick search through this. This is equity risk associate, quant developer engineer. Wow, look at them all. Okay, maybe I should stop at some point. I'm sure you don't want to be overburdened, but these are the last 3 months. Wow. Who knew, right? Quant development engineer. Okay, let's stop. Maybe do the front office as well. Okay, so let's take a look at some of these job skills. C++, what did I just say earlier? High frequency, systematic, candidate must be exposed to range cutting edge technology, blah, 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 blah. Senior C++ with strong all-around exposure to technologies and high frequency trading systems. Okay, so here we go. Core trading system, data feed, market. And again, we've talked about IK feed, we've talked about trading economics, Quandl, obviously downloading even some of the more government data sources. Now here's where the actual nitty gritty comes into. Here's what the schooling they want you to be in. Again, we've talked about this. Physics, mathematics. I've not mentioned electrical engineering, which is obviously another big one, and computer science. So there you go. So skills in C++, standard STL, Boost, real-time Linux. Again, Linux, this is the preference they want. A lot of firms may not care about Windows. It's a nice to have, but really they're going to be working in real-time Linux, and that's usually, wouldn't be surprised if it's going to be more FreeBSD. C++ skills, programming, 5 years, fine. Commercial experience, I guess they're not looking for open source development, student development kind of stuff. Data structure is really important. Object, template oriented. Interesting. Concurrent programming, core patterns, and middleware. Wow. Boost, yeah, these are standard. C++ 11 version. Expertise in Linux, it's pretty well standard. Again, we talked about Python. Didn't I mention that earlier? Perl and shell scripts. Of course, those are important for your Linux, so it comes back to what I said about Linux is what they're on. I don't even know why they even want somebody in Windows, but whatever. Windows is C#. That's probably to integrate some other type of systems that this company's using. Oh, here's an interesting one. Zero ICE. Remember we talked about zero MQ once upon a time? Zero C, zero ICE is using zero MQ and ICE, which I've seen before. Look it up on my website. You know, you can definitely, that's for messaging as well. Okay, so that's the first one. We're going to be here for a while, I think. So we've got this Balsani asset management. Okay, let's take a look at the next one. Cutting edge, PhD again. That's so important. PhD. They don't care about anyone else. Statistical machine learning. Okay, so these are new programs that are coming out of university, I guess. Well-rounded, yes. So they're looking for students. So this is position at level at. So this is an internship. Even internships are pretty hard to get, I imagine. C++, Python, the top two languages, I mentioned that earlier. Complex and large data sets, we've mentioned that already. Finance, high standard professionalism, because there's your soft skills stuff. Okay, moving on to the next one. Core system development. Okay, that is probably an important one. Okay, so this company definitely has its own set of APIs, service layer, data stores. Okay, who knows what they're using? I don't know, they could be using their own database solution, but we'll get that in a minute. Operations, risk, streamline workflow. So this is core system developer. Okay, aptitude, blah blah blah, usual crap. Okay, this looks like a .NET shop. WCF, server side ASP, MS SQL. Yeah, this is definitely a Microsoft .NET shop. RabbitMQ, again, message queuing is really important. Solace and TIBCO. TIBCO is a commercial message queuing, very expensive. Test driven, experience with easy, FlexTrade, MIC, fund solutions. I can see why this company probably looks like they're using third-party solutions as part of their trading, which is fine, but I'm not seeing any HFT verbiage here. Job scheduling, hedge fund, financial institution, blah, 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 blah. Not so much. Okay, let's see, quant development engineer. Okay, 5 years, lots of soft skills we don't really care about. Quantitative trading system, including back testing, simulation, made very strong, blah, 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 blah. Oh, there you go. Design quant research. To support a globally accessible quant research. Now, I want everybody to really understand it, really important. This is the difference between a quant developer and a quant research. You want to make the big money. It's what I said earlier. Your math is really important, and that will put you into research. Once you get into your PhD level, preferably preferably coming out of comp sci, you probably end up in quant development, and it doesn't pay as much. Trading infrastructure we know about, vendor and internally developed platforms, interface standardized testing, blah 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 blah, full length sale, robust holistic process, written development, blah blah blah. This is another thing. Develop written documentation. The amount of stuff that I see is absolute trash, and I wouldn't even hire anybody that cannot properly document. This is why I don't hire people. Wasting my time, basically. Here we go. Here's some of the software skills. Not so much emphasis. C++, C#, Java, R, Python, MATLAB, and Perl. Strong Linux and Unix, so we know that. Latency optimization, that's fine, again, because you're probably working in Linux and Unix. When they say Unix, think BSD. Latency optimization, algorithmic trading. Here's an interesting one. Grid computing. You should look that up. API, because it's development based, authentication concepts, analytical. Well, it's quite the laundry list that they want. I hope they pay really well for that type of position. Next one. Yeah, I won't want to go through all this fun stuff. Again, communicate trading desk. This is for a quant trading assistant. I don't know what that means. Maybe a junior person, just another slave that they want to bring in. I don't know. C++, Java, R, Python, MATLAB. Yeah, those are the languages we all focus on. But of course, I think the priorities that you'll find more are C++ and Python. I'm hoping to establish that. So let's see what they want. Tick data is a plus. You can learn that through IQFeed. Transaction cost analysis. Interesting one. Large data sets. That's you want to escape that experience with quant trading groups. Top university. That's a skill. They don't say here they want some. Oh, is this PhD? Well, this is a junior level. But they'll probably only look at PhDs. They won't say it. Trading systems. more than 3 years of experience. Okay, let's go to the next one. Quantitative Developer, another one. Let's see, blah, 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 blah. Building back testing. I think we saw the ETL, BAM. Can't remember what these are. These are more integrated with larger systems, I guess. Hadoop and Spark. This is a cloud solution company. Statistical programming, all three of those. Unafraid to share new ideas and work in small teams. Soft skills, soft skills, soft skills. Alternatively, you may even be a self-taught coder from an early age who's defined by a love of coding and data science. You'll probably see those. Interesting. And again, I think I've talked about if you've got a brand for yourself online, strong presence of blogging, this is another way to get into these companies. Looks like this company's willing to overlook that without having some fancy degree. So that's good to see. And if there's more positions, maybe I could be wrong where the demand is actually outpacing the supply. Let's see, research coordinator. Never seen a position like this. BAM. I'm going to assume BAM. If they're using BAM, to support. Oh, that's an internal unit within this company. BAM employees. Broker relations stuff. Better if you knew the internals of how this company works, so you can understand their lingo. Book all non-deal road shows and analysts. I don't think this will be so technical. It's a soft skill job. Team players, no technical in it. Okay, that's easily XNA. Another quant developer engineer. Back testing, performance testing, market data. Yes, we talked that. Simulation. Actually, simulation is another one I haven't really talked about. If you want, look up Aurora for market simulators. I think that will be a big area a lot of people don't talk about. There's some great projects out there that can help you get through that. Design, build, accessible quant research. Again, quant research, so you've got to work with the quant researchers. So this will probably pay okay, 200 grand, okay. You want the big money, you gotta be a quant researcher. The math. Even though they don't seem to stress it here. Perform minimum supervision, exercise sound judgment. Desired skills, okay. Again, C++ is the first one, right? Our Python, we've gone through all that. Perl for the scripting, financial industry, Unix, Linux. So again, Unix is number one. Probably tell me probably using BSD. Latency optimization. It's probably similar as one of the other companies, or same company as before. All right. So we got here BAM again. This company does BAM, right? Risk visualization tools. Developing creative risk visualization tools. That's probably using something like VAR, some other portfolio optimization techniques. I will tell you that MATLAB rules in that. I'm seeing a whole lot of really enhancements in both our Python that can do what MATLAB can do. Very powerful. Speak English. Wow, that's good to know. Communicate with PMs. That means they need to understand the LS equity business. Long and short for the newbies out there. Strong analytical problem solving, quantitatively savvy, should know some statistics. Python again, and or our skills are requirement. Generate fresh project ideas. Attention to detail, takes ownership, blah blah blah. 2 to 4 years, again, Python comes up first. Usually that means that's the preference. Our SQL plus is a plus, but Python's mentioned here first, so that tells me that, yeah, that's what they want. So again, what I talked about at the start of this whole video, math. But these are the engineering, comp sci, math, and financial math degree. Be okay with financial business too, but you gotta be a rock star with all these skills coming out of business. That's my background. Okay, so moving on to the next one. Quant development engineer, blah, 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 optimal candidate. I just want people to not get confused with quant developer or quant engineer. You want the big money, you got to get into globally accessible quant research. Again, and trading infrastructure. Okay, so this position looks like it's the glue between the two, full cycle, blah, 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 existing. Again, they're using a lot of third-party stuff, fine. I think we've seen this before. Again, C++ is first, C# second. 10 plus years development background, with 5 years in the financial industry. Again, order, Unix, Linux. You don't see so much Windows, do you? Latency optimization, algorithmic trading, analytical skills, all that. Okay, interesting. Alrighty, next one. Quantitative Development Engineer. These are getting a little stale for me. We've probably hammered it to death. Looking for anything that's unique in here. Nope, nothing new there. Optimal candidate. Master's or PhD, comp sci, or closely related field for a quant development engineer. 10 years in the field, yes, blah, blah, blah. Okay, we've talked about this. Grid computing is interesting. And authentication would make sense for security. Okay, nothing new there. Last job, OMS, Order Management Server, Front Office Developer. Okay, I'm confused. OMS Engineer or Front Office. Obviously, this person does not know how the technical. That's one thing I hate about recruiters. Strong OEMS, TMS or compliance, fixed protocol. That's a good thing to specialize in if you have that. Hedge fund or financial. Okay, nothing new. Okay, thank you very much for that posting. I think there was one other one we wanted to take a look at. Where are you? I will eventually make my way. Hired quants. Let's see, this story is the one I want to see. Bridgewater is set to start artificial intelligence team. Now I missed this. This is, okay, that's from February 26th. So Bridgewater, Ray Dalio, probably one of the best hedge fund managers out there, for leading the Watson create trading algorithms that make predictions on historical and statistical probabilities, change and adapt to new information. That is what machine learning is really good at, when it adapts. What you're watching adapts. Self-adapting is key. 24 billion. Wow. I didn't think 2 Sigma's that big. 24 billion. Wow. 25 billion at Rentec. Wow. Machine learning gives hedge funds a competitive edge in the markets. Blah, 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 blah. Machine learning is a new wave of investing for the next 20 years. The smart players are focusing on it. I'd like to do it too, but I guess too far behind. So, working on that fundamental analysis stuff first. Pure alpha 8.3% in January compared to 1.1, which was the average. And again, I guess that's using machine learning. Macro funds posted. Robot Rebirth from Google. Some stuff coming out of Google's pretty cool on the machine learning. Even just as a highlight, maybe people missed it, with the Facebook solution, which is open source for their machine learning, which is done in Lua, Lua, and using that with Redis would be a very interesting combination. Bob Mercer developed, here's the thing, really important, language recognition programs at IBM, because a lot of machine learning is linguistics, and because this guy is the top dog now at Rentec, yeah, that's where the machine learning is really based on. With Bob Mercer, yeah, he's got some interesting talks I've seen online. Actually, you can go on my blog on that, and some research papers I found from many years ago, which Jim Simmons started in '82. Okay, and here's this guy, John Overdeck, Dave Siegel, earned a PhD in comp sci. Okay, so they started in 2001, and that's 2 Sigma. I mean, that's amazing. Where am I? Where's that number again? I just want to show you the size of 2 Sigma. 24. Here we go. $24 billion in 16 years of 2 Sigma. That is an incredible growth. Okay, so coming back to here, math is the important skill now. PhD level if you want a job in a hedge fund, and we just went through a good set of examples and knowing what you need to know. Hopefully those will help you out and you enjoyed this wonderful off the cusp video. Talk to you later.